In this video I'm going to be trying to argue my case that doors are one of the most overrated items in the game, and in fact you don't need them as much as you think you might need them. So this little setup over here doesn't have a single door besides the door to my entrance, and the reason why this strange looking object here is not for aesthetics, but it's actually a very functional reason when it comes to using your zones. So when it comes to using your zones, you could be under the assumption that I was, that in order to change your zones you have to have a door. Now what are zones? Zones are these things over here. You unlock them over here, and this is your zones that you unlock. You access them by going over here, going to security zones, and there it is. The easy way is to press Z if you're playing on PC and you haven't changed the hotkeys. Now what this does here is it means that any minion that goes into this area will get either distracted, captured, or killed, which doesn't really make a difference if you don't have a big base, but when you have a massive base it can really save your micro, because you don't have to click anything and you can just know that any minion I find will have to go through one of those three things. Now in this up here, if I change one of these zones, it will only change the room, and that's because there is a wall and there is a door blocking each room. Now when I go to this example over here, it's not actually true. So as you can see right here, the only thing between these two rooms is the fact that there's a change in tiles. Now why this is important is that, as you can see here, you do not need a door for every room. You can simply have an open space. As long as you can access it, it has to be at least a 2x1 space, right? So as long as there's a wall, 2x1 space, you're fine. The other thing to do is that when you're building rooms, this is a bit of a side thing I was going to talk about, never put your incinerator inside the power generator room. They should be on two opposite sides of each other. Incinerator needs to be used a lot and burn bodies. The generator should be somewhere safe, it just needs to be repaired. But the other thing to consider is that walls and doors, they block line of sight and they block accessibility. Accessibility is just walking between two different spaces, which is more important when you come to minion economy, because they have to spend less time. They have to spend more time, sorry. So if a minion has to come up here, if they need to go to sleep and then eat food, they have to spend time walking in and out of two different doors and then go into there. Versus if they had this set up here, they can go sleep, eat, like right there. It's a lot quicker. It doesn't save the most time, but when you realize how big the base is and how often minions are moving, this will actually start to stack up. The other thing to realize is that doors cost gold, they cost energy, and they need to be repaired. So that's what, more time you have to spend with your technicians, more energy, and more time just to walk between them. But what's more important when it comes to defense is line of sight. Now in your bases, in your like internal rooms like this, line of sight doesn't really matter. It does matter when it comes to using your ranged attacks. So over here, if I go all the way to my entrance, you're going to see why line of sight makes a big difference. Now, I have my guards over here, a lot of guards. I have the entrance to my base right here. So this is how the enemy walks in. If they really want to, they can go and explore the cover operations, but say they want to go straight into my base, this door, and they come. Now, when it comes to your zones, remember, as your example up here, so long as you have a difference in rooms, your zones will be split. So if we go back over here, this little strip here blocks this area of my traps, so this corridor area, and this area right here. Why that's important? If this wasn't here, let's just assume like there was a gap here, whatever I done to this corridor would also affect the front. The only other way you can change that is by building a door. Let's just say I had a door here, but remember, doors block line of sight. I don't really care about the money or the power, but if I don't have line of sight here, and enemies are right here, what's going to happen is that I cannot actually attack them with ranged attacks until I open that door, which means my minions over here will need to run all the way up here, open the door, and then attack. But because I have blocked line of sight, because I haven't blocked line of sight, sorry, because I don't have a door, my minions can then attack from anywhere around here. And also, because my minions aren't acting up here, they don't run into the traps. So I want the traps to activate, let them be pushed somewhere in the open area, and then let my minions attack. The other thing you can do is you can activate this like last, but then it's a lot more micro, which you might not have time for. So if I press play here, take off double speed, you're going to see what happens with an open line of sight and long range for range minions. You're going to get pushed through. You guys are going to stand up. You're going to attack you. And you're going to attack you. And so both of those two die before they can even shoot a single shot. Now it's a bit bullying because you're level 4. There's only 2 level 4 minions, so they are insanely weak. I do have a lot of minions here, but the difference here is that I was able to initiate my attacks with line of sight before they could even react. Now, even if these weren't on, the fact that I can attack from this range is far superior when it comes to defense. And also, if I sent my martial artists in, if I engage them in melee combat and surround them, I also have a nice open space here to surround them. If I was trying to attack them in this corridor here, it's a lot more difficult to surround with melee attacks, and my range attacks would have to walk around this corner to do it, which is why I gave them the entrance right here. Now, there are a few occasions when doors are helpful, such as over here. Doors are a lot easier to spread off your cover operations, because it's a little bit annoying having different room types in your cover operations in your casino. Doors also are useful when you want to block off your vaults, because they stop rogues, or at least they're more effective against rogues. But other than that, I beat the game on normal, and I don't have a single door in the interior of my base. It's all open space. I have some walls just to kind of, you know, block off where they might run and to help it look better, but there is really no need to have a door anywhere in here. So if you have a good argument about why you think you need doors, then please let me know, besides the examples that I gave. If you want to make your rooms look nice, if you want to build a base that, you know, it looks really cool, that's a completely separate reason. I think that's obviously perfectly valid, but when it comes to the functionality of doors and the necessity of them, I kind of feel like they're a lot less important than what I assumed they were when I first played. So I hope this little tip helps you, especially if you're defense. If you're having trouble with dealing with enemies, make sure you have more range units than melee units. Right, you can also use your range henchmen. They can have the same benefit, but remember that line of sight is an important resource when it comes to defending, and that sometimes your traps don't have to be deadly themselves. Sometimes they just have to stall long enough to have your guards come in and finish them off. So that's it for this video. Hope it was helpful. Foxyl out. I'll see you in the next one.